Mexico is reshaping the Gulf of Mexico on an unprecedented scale, dredging millions of cubic feet of seafloor soil. But what's really behind this massive project? Is it about global trade, politics, or something far more surprising? Let's explore. The Yucatan Peninsula is one of the most fascinating landscapes on Earth, but it has long been described as a paradox. Here's a land of immense natural riches, historic significance, and unmatched beauty, yet it's been limited by its very geography. To understand why Mexico is now extracting hundreds of millions of cubic feet of soil from the Gulf, we first need to understand the sleeping giant that is the Yucatan itself. The roots of this peninsula go back to one of the most cataclysmic events in Earth's history. Around 66.5 million years ago, a 6-mile-wide asteroid slammed into what is now the northern edge of the Yucatan. The impact was apocalyptic, creating the Chicxulub crater, a massive scar more than 90 miles across and 12 miles deep, now buried beneath layers of limestone and soil. Scientists identify this as the smoking gun behind the extinction of the dinosaurs, clearing the way for mammals and eventually humans to dominate the planet. In this way, Yucatan isn't just a place on the map. It's the birthplace of the modern world. Its very foundation is a story of destruction and rebirth. Fast forward to the present, and you'll find testimony to nature's resilience across the peninsula. Thick jungles now cover the land, sheltering jaguars, monkeys, and countless bird species found nowhere else on Earth. Beneath the surface lie cenotes, stunning sinkhole formations created when limestone dissolved to reveal underground rivers with crystal-clear waters. These interconnected networks were sacred portals to the underworld for the Maya. For modern scientists, they're geological wonders offering valuable insights into climate and history. Meanwhile, seemingly endless stretches of brilliant white sand beaches contrast with turquoise waters, attracting millions of tourists each year. Yet behind these postcard-perfect views lies a region that has been shackled by geographic constraints. The same limestone that makes cenotes possible also makes large-scale infrastructure construction extremely difficult. The shallow waters of the Gulf of Mexico have long restricted modern ships from accessing this coastal region, contributing to Yucatan's maritime isolation. What sacrifices do you believe are worth making to unlock the Yucatan's economic potential without harming its natural beauty? Comment and chat with me. This isolation is particularly ironic when you consider Mexico's recent trade explosion. By 2024, the nation reached a milestone that stunned economists worldwide. Bilateral trade with the United States soared to an unprecedented $840 billion. For the second consecutive year, Mexico surpassed both China and Canada to become America's largest trading partner. This isn't just a temporary spike. It represents a fundamental shift in global supply chains, with Mexico positioned as the manufacturing floor for the North American market. Companies are adopting nearshoring strategies, moving production closer to consumers to reduce costs and increase supply chain resilience. The goods flowing between these neighboring countries are staggering in both variety and value. We're talking about automotive parts, finished vehicles, cutting-edge electronics, petroleum, agricultural products, and consumer goods. Mexico's manufacturing sector has surged as companies diversify away from Asia, and factories in Monterrey, Guadalajara, and Mexico City are operating at full capacity. Transporting these goods isn't as simple as manufacturing them. Today's arteries of global commerce aren't highways or airplanes, but massive container ships. These aren't the vessels of decades past. Modern ships are monumental engineering marvels called post-Panamax and new Panamax container ships. Some stretch nearly 1,200 feet in length, equivalent to 3 football fields placed end to end, capable of carrying up to 24,000 containers in a single voyage. These maritime giants require equally massive ports. Channels must be deep and wide, equipped with state-of-the-art technology to ensure speedy turnaround and safe passage. Currently, only 5 Mexican ports can accommodate these enormous vessels. Veracruz, Lázaro Cárdenas, and Manzanillo have risen to meet this challenge, becoming indispensable nodes in global shipping networks. The Yucatan Peninsula. Despite all its geographic advantages at the crossroads of the Caribbean, Mexico, and transatlantic routes, it's not part of this exclusive club. The irony is striking. Geography provides Yucatan, with proximity to Florida, direct access to European markets, and a natural gateway to Central America and the Caribbean. Yet because of shallow coastal waters and outdated port facilities, it's been sitting on the sidelines during this massive trade boom. The implications of this bottleneck are enormous. Yucatan's exports must currently be routed through ports like Veracruz, hundreds of miles away. This adds hours, sometimes days, to transit times, inflates shipping costs, and diminishes regional producers' competitiveness. For global shippers operating on razor-thin margins with tight delivery schedules, these inefficiencies aren't just inconveniences. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Don't forget to share this video with your friends. It helps support the channel, and I'm excited to continue bringing you more great content. If there's one place that captures both the promise and frustration of Yucatan's maritime ambitions, it's the port of Progreso. On paper, it's one of Mexico's most remarkable ports, home to a structure so unique it has drawn international attention for decades, the world's longest pier, a concrete ribbon stretching nearly 4 miles into the Gulf of Mexico. From the air, it looks like a highway reaching toward the horizon, an engineering feat that seems to defy nature itself. The pier was born out of necessity. Yucatan's coast is marked by extremely shallow waters that have limited large vessels from docking directly onshore for centuries, forcing goods to be shuttled back and forth on smaller boats in a costly and time-consuming process. In the late 1930s, engineers devised an ambitious solution, a pier that extended far enough into the Gulf to reach waters deep enough for ships to dock. It was a bold vision, a declaration that Yucatan could overcome its natural barriers and stake a claim in modern trade. Over the decades, the pier was expanded, most notably in the 1980s, to accommodate increasing trade flows. Yet as global shipping evolved, Progreso's limitations became blindingly clear. The port channel remained at 40 feet deep with a width of just 492 feet. These dimensions were adequate for mid-20th century cargo vessels, but in an age of post-Panamax and new Panamax ships, they're woefully inadequate. Many of today's container ships require drafts of at least 39 feet and channels wide enough for safe maneuvering. The advanced mismatch between infrastructure and contemporary needs has turned Progreso into a bottleneck. Ships too large to dock here must divert to other ports, with Veracruz being the most common alternative. From there, goods must be transferred onto trucks or barges for transport back toward Yucatan. This detour adds 12 to 18 hours of transit time and thousands of dollars in extra charges per container. Perhaps most ironic is that Progreso's pier is celebrated as an example of human ingenuity and engineering achievement. Yet for all its impressive length, it has become almost symbolic, a pier to nowhere, a bold stretch across the water that still cannot accommodate the world's largest ships. Faced with these undeniable limitations, Mexican authorities decided to pursue a solution as ambitious as the pier itself. If shallow waters were the problem, then the seafloor would be transformed. The answer came in the form of one of the largest dredging operations in Mexico's history. A project so vast it involved shifting hundreds of millions of cubic feet of sand and soil to literally rewrite the geography of the Gulf. The planned scope is staggering. Engineers aim to remove 353 million cubic feet of sediment, deepening the port's fairway from 40 to 44 feet and widening the navigation channel from 492 to 590 feet. While those numbers may sound modest on paper, in maritime terms they represent monumental changes. A difference of just a few feet in depth determines whether a massive post-Panamax vessel can dock or must bypass the port entirely. To execute such a colossal task, the Mexican government turned to Mexicana Dragados, a subsidiary of the Belgian-based John de Nul Group, a global powerhouse in dredging and marine engineering. John de Nul's reputation precedes them. They've spearheaded projects in some of the world's most challenging environments, from expanding the Suez Canal to reclaiming entire islands in the Persian Gulf. Work officially commenced on June 19, 2025, transforming the Gulf waters surrounding Progreso into the setting for an industrial ballet. A fleet of trailing suction hopper dredgers takes center stage, massive vessels that function like floating factories. They operate as enormous underwater vacuum cleaners, lowering suction pipes to the seabed to extract sand, silt, and gravel. Whatever they collect in their hoppers is transported to designated dumping areas or reclamation sites where new land platforms are being built for future port facilities. What's your take? Can Mexico's Gulf project protect nature while booming economically? Drop your thoughts below, we're all ears. The dredging of Progreso's port isn't just about moving soil. It's about moving the economy of an entire region and potentially altering Mexico's place in global trade. When the seabed is reshaped and deeper, wider channels finally welcome the world's largest cargo ships, the ripple effects will be felt far beyond Yucatan's coastline. Economists call this kind of transformation a structural shift, where one project changes the trajectory of industries, jobs, and entire communities. The first and most obvious impact is on exporters. For decades, producers across the Yucatan Peninsula, from citrus farmers and honey cooperatives to furniture makers and textile manufacturers, have faced steep hurdles getting their goods to market. Without a deep water port, their products often had to be routed through Veracruz or other distant ports, adding time, expense, and uncertainty to every shipment. With Progreso modernized, this bottleneck disappears overnight. Goods will reach global markets faster, cheaper, and with fewer logistical headaches. Tropical fruit that once risked spoiling in transit will now arrive fresher at international destinations. Finished goods will ship directly to Europe and the United States without costly detours. This newfound efficiency could turn Yucatan into a competitive exporter practically overnight. Importers stand to benefit equally as predictability flows into the supply chain. Essential goods like machinery, fuel, electronics, and consumer products have experienced frustrating delays in the past, with ships waiting to be unloaded at faraway, overcrowded ports. Improved supply chain reliability will ripple through the peninsula's entire economy, reducing prices for both businesses and consumers. In an environment where supply chain resilience has become a top priority in global markets, this positions Yucatan as one of Mexico's most dependable entry points. The transformation is already attracting shipping companies and foreign investors like hawks eyeing an opportunity. Multinational corporations in agrochemicals, logistics, and automobile assembly view the dredging project as the first phase toward establishing a major industrial hub. Land near Progreso and Merida has become hot property, with developers scrambling to secure space for factories, warehouses, and distribution centers. Investors understand that proximity to a modern deep water port reduces costs and accelerates market access. This formula is simply too attractive to ignore. The incoming industries will create a cascade of employment opportunities, both directly and indirectly. The port itself will demand skilled crane operators, dock workers, customs officers, and maintenance crews. Beyond the docks, logistics planners, engineers, environmental specialists, and professionals will find opportunities in companies establishing operations nearby. Small businesses, from restaurants and retail shops to construction firms and service providers, will benefit from the surge of economic activity. For local families, the port represents more than abstract infrastructure development. It's a pathway to stability, growth, and upward mobility that has been absent for generations. Tax revenues will also increase substantially. Enhanced trade translates into higher tariffs, fees, and income taxes, all of which can be reinvested in public infrastructure. Roads, schools, hospitals, and housing projects will see increased funding, creating a virtuous cycle where infrastructure feeds growth and growth feeds additional infrastructure. Early forecasts suggest that Progreso's trade throughput could double within 5 years of dredging completion. If this materializes, it would cement Mexico's eastern coast as a vital link connecting North America, Central America, and Europe for decades to come. Every great leap forward casts a shadow, and for Yucatan, the shadow of Progreso's transformation stretches beneath the waves. Dredging on this scale isn't just an engineering project. It's an environmental gamble. Shifting 353 million cubic feet of sediment disrupts far more than shipping lanes. It disturbs entire ecosystems that have evolved for millennia in the Gulf's delicate waters. The question isn't whether dredging will have an environmental impact, but whether that impact can be contained and managed responsibly. One of the most immediate threats comes from sediment plumes. When dredgers vacuum or cut into the seabed, they release clouds of fine particles that drift through the water column. To humans, this may appear as harmless murkiness, but for marine life, it can be suffocating. Coral reefs, seagrass beds, and algae communities, all essential components of the marine food chain, can be smothered if sediment settles on them. Fish eggs and larvae may be swept away or deprived of oxygen. Even short-term plumes can disrupt spawning cycles that coastal communities have relied upon for fishing for generations. To address these concerns, Progresso's modernization plan includes sophisticated sediment barriers. These floating curtains are designed to contain stirred-up particles and limit how far they spread through the water column. Dredging schedules are also carefully aligned with nature's rhythms. Work halts during critical periods such as fish spawning seasons and the nesting months of sea turtles that lay eggs on Yucatan's beaches. These operational pauses are costly to the project timeline but essential for preserving biodiversity. In fact, a parallel initiative on land is working to offset development impacts on the region's mangroves. These coastal forests serve as natural defenses, with their root systems absorbing wave energy, reducing shoreline erosion, and providing shelter for countless species. Decades of tourism expansion and urbanization have destroyed significant stretches of these vital ecosystems. Now, as part of the port modernization commitment, authorities have pledged to replant enormous areas with new mangrove trees. This represents both a symbolic gesture of environmental restoration and practical protection against future storms and rising sea levels. Subscribe now for more expert insights on mega projects shaping the future of global trade and the environment. The answer to maximizing this transformation may lie not only in the waters but also on the rails. While dredgers reshape the seabed off Progreso, another mega project is unfolding inland that will complete Yucatan's economic metamorphosis. If the port is the region's new front door, then the Tren Maya Railway is the grand hallway leading deep into Mexico. Together, they form a twin strategy: sea and land, port and rail, infrastructure designed not just to move goods but to redefine the economic identity of the entire peninsula. The Tren Maya spans an extraordinary 965 miles, weaving through 5 states: Yucatan, Quintana Roo, Campeche, Tabasco, and Chiapas. Originally conceived as a passenger line to boost tourism, it has quickly evolved into something far more significant: a dual-purpose system capable of transporting both people and freight with unprecedented efficiency. With 34 stations strategically placed across the region, the railway promises to become an artery of commerce as well as culture. Its potential is staggering. The line is designed to carry up to 25 million passengers annually, while its freight division is poised to become the logistical backbone of southern Mexico. The 43-mile rail link from Mérida to Progreso represents the most transformative element for Yucatan's maritime future. For the first time, the port will be connected through steel tracks directly to the heart of inland Mexico, rather than relying on congested highways. Instead of trucks hauling containers across saturated roads, goods can be rolled directly off ships onto rail cars and dispatched efficiently across the country and northward into the United States. Analysts predict this integration will provide up to 20% savings in inland transport costs while halving transit times. This represents a quantum leap in efficiency that could reshape regional competitiveness. The vision extends beyond simple terminal connections. The Tren Maya is designed to integrate with 4 multimodal terminals: Paxila, Progreso, Cancun, and Penimo, creating seamless connections between maritime shipping, cheap rail transport, and domestic industries. Imagine a container arriving from Europe at Progreso. Within hours, through a simple transfer onto a train, that cargo could be delivered inland and distributed via these terminals to factories, farms, or retailers throughout Mexico. What was previously accomplished through a fragmented, inefficient supply chain becomes streamlined, synchronized, and globally competitive. The economic implications are already becoming apparent. Investors have recognized the transformative potential, and land around Mérida and Progreso has been attracting international companies eager to establish assembly plants, distribution warehouses, and logistics hubs. Agro-industry firms are planning to rapidly transport tropical fruits and vegetables to export markets. Manufacturers anticipate reduced costs for shipping finished products through Progreso's upgraded infrastructure. Even small enterprises, from family-owned honey producers to local artisans, may gain access to markets that were previously too costly to enter. After years of prohibitive logistics, Progreso will emerge as the key to unlocking this new corridor of trade across and beyond the peninsula. The benefits extend far beyond commercial trade to local communities. Tourism, still the region's most prominent industry, will receive a significant boost as trains bring millions of visitors to beaches, archaeological sites, and cultural centers throughout Yucatan. New opportunities will emerge for towns along the railway line in hospitality, services, and crafts. This synergistic relationship will generate thousands of jobs, from immediate construction and logistics positions to long-term careers and industries that will anchor communities for decades. The transformation represents more than infrastructure development. It's about connecting a historically isolated region to the global economy while preserving its unique cultural identity. Mexico is transforming the Gulf of Mexico with massive soil extraction, turning the Yucatan Peninsula into a new hub for international trade, jobs, and global connectivity. This project is unprecedented in the region's modern history. Can economic progress coexist with protecting the environment? Efforts like environmental monitoring, sediment barriers, and seasonal work limits aim to reduce damage. Still, critics say no dredging operation this large can be fully green. Economically, the project is powerful. It could create tens of thousands of jobs, add billions in trade revenue, and strengthen Mexico's role in North American commerce. Its connection to Tren will build a logistics network rivaling others in the Western Hemisphere. But risks are serious. Marine ecosystems that took thousands of years to form might be permanently changed. Environmental protections at this scale are unproven, and delays or budget issues could halt the project. This is more than infrastructure. It tests if such megaprojects can balance economic growth with environmental care. Governments and investors worldwide will watch closely. Completion is due by late 2026. Delays mean lost opportunities globally, but rushing risks environmental and quality standards. What do you think? Will this be Mexico's greatest economic success or a gamble that sacrifices vital natural resources for short-term gain? The outcome depends on balancing environmental care, meeting deadlines, supporting local communities, and spreading benefits beyond wealthy investors. Share your thoughts below. Is this visionary leadership or reckless ambition? Like and subscribe for more insights on global megaprojects, and watch the next video on how other countries transform their coastlines to compete worldwide. Thanks for being with us. Leave a comment, like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more exciting videos. See you next time.